If you had that, if you reflect on that first sort of 5 years of trying everything, frustration, intense, really wanting to realize this dream of making the Australian team, a young Mike Hussey who's got that same drive, hunger, intensity, what advice would you give to that young Mike Hussey?
Yeah, it's something I've often thought about, Paddy, and I've argued in my own mind, saying, okay, do you need to go through that stage as part of your journey to come out the other side of that? Do you need that intensity so it drives you and makes you work hard? Because I also think that as a young player, working extremely hard, it builds up a fantastic base as a young player, whether that be from a fitness point of view. So, for example, I got myself so fit that even later in my career, if I had a setback through injury or something, it didn't take me long to get back up to full fitness because I had this huge body of work that I'd done as a younger player. Also, as a batsman, for my skills, I hit millions and millions and millions of balls, and every one of them had to be perfect. And again, that helped me when I was going through a bit of a slump or things weren't going quite to plan. Because I'd had this huge body of work behind me, I could more quickly get back up to speed to where I needed to be. But having said that, putting so much pressure on yourself and myself, that puts a lot of stress and anxiety on the body as well, and that causes you not to think clearly and not to, I guess, appreciate that, it is a long journey. And I think this is a mistake that a lot of youngsters are making these days and in this current generation is everyone wants everything so quickly. Any information you want, it's on your phone, bang, you can get it within seconds.
Yeah.
You just want that instant gratification. And unfortunately, cricket, it's not really like that. It's a long journey. You've got to learn. You've got to go through all those ups and downs. So I don't know if I would have changed anything, but I just wish I just didn't take on so much pressure and anxiety and just sort of knew that I've done the hard work and then be happy with that. And then I could just go into the game and say, you know what will be, will be. And I'm happy with that. I know I've done the hard work. Now let's just enjoy the game and it might go my way, but it might not. And I feel as though I would have figured it out a lot quicker if I had have taken that mindset. So and just not being too intense.
So how did that change for you? Okay, you said you got dropped, you walked away, you came back into playing your game, but how does that mindset shift? So I get that you got to really work hard, build the base with a long-term view. Yes, there is no shortcuts around that. But the absolute mental intensity and pressure that you put on yourself is not necessarily that important. It's doing the work as opposed to putting that pressure. So again, if you were to go back or towards the back end of your career when I did a bit of work with you were still the consummate professional. You didn't leave any stone unturned, even in your late 30s. And yet you were mentally, a bit more relaxed, a bit more chilled around your game. What changed? What advice around that? I mean, if you had that over again, would there be anything you'd do differently?
Yeah, I think, again, it's part of going through the journey though, Paddy. You almost have to go through that to find out where you play your best cricket. So I got to a stage after going through all these ups and downs and what have you, I got to a stage where I thought, okay, I know my game. I know my game inside and out. I know what I need to do to play my best cricket. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what I need to do to prepare to play my best cricket. And then I understand that, you're not going to get 100 every game. It's just not going to happen. But I was at peace with it. I was at peace with the game, and I felt as though, well, I don't have anything else to prove to anyone out there. It's just about going out there, playing my way. If I know if I do it often enough, it's worked in the past, it will work it again. It will work again. So I was at peace with the result will take care of itself. If some days it's going to go for you, some days it's not, and I was at peace with that. Whereas earlier in my career, I wasn't at peace with that. I was like, why didn't I score runs today? I've got to go and hit 1,000 more balls, and I've got to run up the sandhill 25 more times rather than just 20 times, and that just kept snowballing, and it's not healthy. And you start getting to a stage where it just builds up, the pressure builds up, and something's going to snap, and it snapped for me. It honestly did. I remember when the day that I got dropped from the Western Australian team, the pressure, the stress, the mental anxiety that I just built up in my mind, it got to breaking point where it was a case of, do I even want to play this game anymore? And I remember sitting with my wife and just saying, is this really worth it? And she said, you're just so wound up, you're just so intense. You need to have an outlet away from cricket, because you can't, this is not sustainable, this amount of pressure that you're putting on yourself. And for her to have that sort of insight, I guess, and sort of outside view was invaluable for me, because it did make me stop and think, this isn't healthy and it's not sustainable. You're just going to blow yourself out of the water. And I sort of came back a different person, because I was more at peace with the person and player that I was.